Hi, this is Gila. Change is an inevitable part of life. And today, changes are happening at such a fast rate thanks to incredible technological advances and mass communication. And life has never been so good, at least for most of us in the West. Many middle-aged and older adults today are struggling with obesity and the onset of type 2 diabetes because we have so much food easily available to us. So many medicines today give us a much better quality of life than was available to people even 50 or so years ago. We can watch and listen to whatever we want to today via the internet and communicate instantly with another person anywhere on this planet. Many of us have time and opportunities for relaxation which would have been unthinkable to hard-pressed housewives only a century ago. But what is happening? There are people who are rioting and defacing statues in the USA and in Britain. And some of these statues are of people who worked hard in the past to ensure that tyranny was defeated, such as that of Sir Winston Churchill, who did so much to inspire our nation back in the dark days of the early 1940s. Black Lives Matter appears to have some deeply racist thugs in its membership, as Tommy Robinson has shown in a powerful video just released on his channel, and I'm going to give a link to it below. Antifa is, well, it seems to be an excuse just to be a thug, so far as I can make out. All lives matter. And although the history of oppression of black people in the past in the USA is not a pleasant one, nowadays most of us are colourblind. The battle is essentially won. Frankly, bowing a knee is ridiculous and totally inappropriate. Racism is equally vile, whoever are the racists, and whatever the colour of their skin. Replacing past racism against black people with a different one against white people today, which is what seems to be happening, is utterly appalling. As human beings, we are all descended from slaves and oppressed peoples. Most people living in Europe a few hundred years ago were unfree peasants chained to the land. Further back, the Roman Empire functioned on the slavery of a large number of people carrying out the back-breaking menial necessities. Further back still, 10,000 years ago, our ancestors then living in Britain and Western Europe were themselves very dark-skinned, although they also had blue eyes. Even further back, all our ancestors living in Africa some 100,000 years ago or so were black. We are all mixtures of different past populations, and none of us actually chose our skin colour. And just very recently, there have been calls from the loony left, certainly in the USA, to defund the police. Sure, there are sadly bound to be one or two bad apples in the police, just as in any other organisation, such as the murderer of George Floyd. But they will be dealt with appropriately and no doubt receive the punishment they truly deserve. But what would really happen without a police force? Complete anarchy in which brutal thugs would rule, murder and destroy the lives of most other people using terror. Is that what these naive protesters truly want? And there have been high-up Democrat politicians and their sympathizers in the DOJ, the FBI, and other institutions in the USA who are still free despite the clear evidence still emerging that there has been and still is a deliberate coup attempt from the highest level against the lawfully elected American President Donald Trump. The collusion of the largely left-wing mainstream media in this coup, the lies and complete disassociation from any notion of objectivity in reporting is frankly horrifying. And nowadays in the West, homosexuals are free to live as they choose. But if you don't also have respect for family values and the natural sexual inclination of most people, then society will ultimately disintegrate. And religion is commonly decried, except that of the deeply backward, supremacist and oppressive ideology of Islam, under which all practicing homosexuals would be murdered, which somehow gets a free pass. David Wood, a practicing Christian who openly criticises Islam on his YouTube channel, was actually banned for a week simply for posting a factual video about the persecution of Christians in the world, many of them in Islamic countries, and the video was removed by YouTube. There seems to be ongoing censorship of anybody who's not left-wing. Conservatives are definitely being censored. Something very wrong with that. Now, life has never been perfect or truly free for anyone throughout history. Even in Britain, only some 400 years ago, people could be executed by being boiled or burned alive, and people who wrote or said the wrong things could still have their hands or ears cut off. We've come a long way since then, but it has required courage, and some people who stood up for the rights of oppressed people, they suffered greatly and even died appalling deaths for doing so. Our freedom has been dearly bought with the blood and suffering and tears of past peoples. So why is all this mayhem in the world happening? Now, of course, reality is always deeply complex. But it seems to me that the previously underground attempts to destroy true democracy and freedom in the West, which have been thwarted by people like Donald Trump, have now become much more open. When evil, and it is evil, is about to be overcome, it usually manifests itself much more clearly and openly and appears to be far stronger, just as it is always darkest and coldest before the dawn. Now, surely most people simply want to live life freely as they choose, with equal rights and justice before the law, to have a chance to make it in their chosen profession, to be able to form their own opinions and speak about them freely, to settle down, usually to have a family, and to grow older with some degree of financial and emotional security, and to die peacefully in their beds at the end. Now, life has never been easy, but today we have so much potential through modern technology and medical advances to make it so much easier and fulfilling for everyone, if only the will and the necessary courage and determination of enough of us to stand up against evil, to name it for what it really is, and to fight, not by thuggery, but by words, by example, for what is good and right. So let's stand up and bring back some common sense and stand up for good. I do believe that as evil becomes more clearly evil, and so good will become more clearly good to those who can see it, that hopefully a better dawn will arrive if enough of us have the will to make it so. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you had a great weekend. Have a wonderful week. Keep safe. Take care. Goodbye.